This is Express Training Bites. I am Brandon Petrich, and with us today we have an awesome guest, Stephen McFadden. He is the president at Perfect Promotions and More. He just recently had a birthday and had a pretty awesome podcast, and he does do a weekly podcast with us called Industry Insider. It is with Jeff and Meg as well. It's kind of turned into a vlog cast, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. A little more video than just podcast now. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. But we learned something about you, Stephen.
Yeah.
We learned that you studied to be a hostage negotiator. Can you tell us a little bit about like how that came to be, and give us a little bit more insight as to like, because I think there's been some misconceptions. Did you train or did you just study? Can you give us the background?
Yeah,
on
so
that?
I guess there's a little bit of a hybrid. But when I was first going into college, everyone's like, what do you want to do, right? What are you going to study for? And in the back of my head, I was like, well, I'm going to be James Bond. I mean, like, there's got to be a degree for that, right? And I really like the idea of knowing how people's minds work, to be, little like the psychology, I guess, of how people think. And I'd also really like the high pressure and high, impact, high risk type of situations. And so I actually studied criminology for almost 2 years in college. And so with that, there's, you can go a bunch of different directions. There's obviously, straight into law enforcement, military. There's all sorts of ways you can go with that type of a degree that'll advance your career. But I actually took an interest in liking into using more of the psychology side of the criminology part, which to me, I was like, I want to be a hostage negotiator. Like I want to talk people off the ledge, for lack of a better term, or, be able to empathize with people and, get people out of tough situations. And so I pursued that through studies and through people that did some of those things. Some of it I can't go into completely, but as I changed directions and went into the family company, I still had a little bit of a passion for it. I've probably done half a dozen or more ride-alongs in different situations, doing night shifts and day shifts and 20-hour shifts and all sorts of crazy stuff. So and it's funny too, because it's like when you go to do that, they're like, do you want to stay in the car? I was like, heck no, I don't want to stay in the car. Like, I'm going to get out and help you. So like, all right, it's your own risk. I'm like, let's do it. So, so there's some experiences in there, most of which I can't speak of, but a lot of fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So,
it's kind of funny you say sitting in the car. So are the sandwiches as bad as the movies make them out to be when you're on like a stakeout or sitting there in the car?
Yeah. Oddly enough, I don't think we ate like at all. It's, you're on the move. Every time I would do some sort of a ride along, I never wanted to do a boring shift. So I have friends and people that are in that field. And so I'd ask them like, when's the craziest time I can do a ride along? It's going to be a Friday night or a Saturday night, 12-hour, or on a holiday, or, when family's in town, because when family's in town, always stuff goes crazy. So I would always do these 12-hour shifts. I'd go park somewhere, get in a car with somebody else, and then wouldn't return until the end of the day. So
that is so awesome. Yeah. And it's not always what the movies make it out to be, right? It's not always like bank hostages or massive corporate hostages. A lot of time, like, it's really smaller things. Like,
yeah, to this day, actually, I talked to the gentleman that I've rode along with for all of the times I went with. He's a good friend of mine, and we still have had the most craziest stories have ever happened in his whole career when I was with him. So I don't think that's the everyday, because if that's as crazy as it got, it probably isn't that crazy most of the time. But there were some bizarre. I mean, we've had one of the shifts we were in, there was helicopters called and dogs brought out. I mean, it was a legit situation. So I got to see kind of the full spectrum of like all the tools being used in a ride along. which I don't think you would have expected. You know, I think most of that's just going to be community checks and things like that. But it was interesting because I'm in the car, I'm talking to him, and I'm like, I wonder what's happening. You know, like how's this going to work? How's this going to play out? And he's like, I don't know. You may just have to stay in the car. Like this is turning into a situation here. So, but you know, as a civilian, like that's an amazing experience, of course. But inevitably, I was also working in promo. So you know,
well, that's yeah. I mean, yeah. So that leads perfectly into kind of why I wanted to touch on that real quick and kind of clear up between the training and the studying. And then I want to kind of pivot into how have you been able to take some of those skills that you've kind of picked up on being in this and studying hostage negotiation and been able to apply it into your promo business.
So what you're asking is, do I have a particular set of skills?
Yes, sir.
Is that right?
Yes, sir. You're the Liam Neeson of promo.
Oh man, I think of one story that perfectly wraps it all in. Unfortunately, it would take way too long to tell, but the the nuts and bolts of it was essentially with orders going awry. You know, like this happens all the time, right, in the industry, and a lot of people talk about, well, it's what my parents have always said, it's your customers will judge you based on what you do when an order goes wrong, not when the order goes right. You know, and so there's a lot of back end work that we have to do as the middle women between suppliers, distributors, and the end user. And you know, we had a catastrophic order awry situation with. It had to have been, almost 10 years ago, but it was 50,000 bottles coming from overseas that had to make a 5K race. You know, like there's no moving it. And it's one of the largest races in the world, and didn't even get on the plane until a date where it would totally miss the event. And won't get into the complete story, but essentially I was able to find a way using a particular set of skills through relentless calling, where we actually were able to talk to the pilot of the plane. And this was a DHL plane. So like, I'm sure security stuff has changed since then.
Yeah.
And it was a person on the plane who spoke with the pilot, and they were able to print new labels on plane and put them on as many boxes as they could find on the plane. So when it landed, it was going to be automatically like overnighted. And when they did arrive, we didn't know where it was going to be. You know, it could have been one of two airport terminals. And I have a truck and a horse trailer that I borrowed from a neighbor. And I drove to the airport and was basically stopping trucks as they came out, asking them if they had a certain, tracking number associated on their goods. And finally, one of the truck drivers was like, dude, what are you doing, man? We can't stop all the trucks. I was like, yes, I can. So it's like, I'm going to find these bottles. It's like, the racers are checking in 1 hour, man. I got to get these boxes. And he's like, let me look at it. And looks at it. He's like, okay, that's going to be over, like 30 miles from where I'm at. I'm like, geez. So drive over there. It's actually a loading dock for the trucks, the actual trucks. And it was, gated facility. So I'm there with my truck and horse trailer waiting for someone to check in for the day so the gates would open. As soon as they did, the gates open, and I pull in behind them and park my car to block all the trucks so they can't leave because they're loading the goods onto the backs of the trucks. And I see someone loading the same size box with like just covered in labels, like hundreds of boxes. Like, that's my stuff. So drive over there, and there's two trucks back to back. Sure enough, it was our stuff, the bottles. And I said, hey, this is where it's going, right? And they're like, yeah. I was like, that's my order. And they're like, well, we have to take it to this address. I'm like, that address is closed. Like, it isn't open right now because it's 4 a.m. and, we're not working on the weekend. It's Saturday. So I was like, $50, and you just unload it into the horse trailer. Here's proof of residence. Like, here's the address. I'm this guy. Cool. So I load it all on the horse trailer, take it over to the event. We had missed check-in. So thinking on the fly, talked to the customer, and it's like, hey, what if I like wheeled these bottles out to all the water bottle stations? So, because now we've got 15 minutes before they're going to reach the end water station. They're like, sure. So we get them over the water station. They get to the water station. Hey guys, new plans. It's like all these cups, trash them. I was like, fill these water bottles with the water as quickly as you can, because all the runners are going to be here in a few minutes. So like, okay, just speak with authority, and people think you know what you're doing. So
yeah.
So sure enough, they filled all the water bottles as they're coming through, and our water bottle ended up being the water distribution for the event instead of the gift when they came to check in. So saved it last second. so
Oh my goodness. Dude,
I don't know how many no-fly lists I'm on, or
there is another Stephen McFadden out there that is struggling every day because of what you did blocking those trucks at that DHL
probably
lot.
And, things are different nowadays. I don't think I could get away with half the stuff that I did then, but still, yeah. But one of the biggest pieces I think you get out of the criminology studies and thing is empathy. That's a big thing that separates you from a serial killer, essentially, right? If you can empathize with the distributors and the situations they're dealing with, the shippers and what they're dealing with, your customer and their perspective of what's going on. So, you playing that middle part have to be able to communicate to all three, and know how to talk to the shipping coordinators, know how to talk to the distributors, know how to relay the information to the end user. And that's really where you have to be able to change hats and change your perspective on when you talk to each person. So, because their perspective is completely different. Distributor perspective is different than the end user perspective, which is different than the shipping perspective. So being able to flip the empathy and what they care about and what they need to hear at that time is crucial.
That is great. And staying calm under pressure too, instead of losing your head, I mean, while you can apply empathy, but at the same time, you've got to be able to be cool yourself. And like you said, speak with authority. That's one of those things where, one of my favorite movies is Boiler Room, and he says, act as if. So if you act as if you're the boss, you're the boss.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool, man. Holy cow. That is a crazy story.
Yeah, and there's other pieces in there. I mean, details like hay flying out the window as I'm driving. I mean, just weird stuff, but that just adds a little color to it.
So is that a nightmare of yours that every once in a while reoccurs?
It is, but now it's just an amazing story. So and to this day, I mean, that client loves us. I mean, absolutely loves us. I mean, I don't think we could have a dozen mistakes, which we wouldn't want, but we could, that we've banked because of that one, fix. So, it's wild. I mean, I've had weird stuff happen too. I mean, these are really quick things, but we had a banner printed. I'm the worst at spelling. Okay. So if I'm doing your artwork on spelling, people need to check behind me. Like, it's just not good. I was supposed to say now leasing. Okay. You'll like this. And it was, words going this way. So when words go this way, vertically versus horizontally, it does stuff with your brain. Like, you think it looks right, but it's not. We get it. They approve it. They send it around in circulation for approval. Everyone approves it. So I'm like, great, this is gonna be awesome. Print the order. Mind you, it's a 20-foot by almost 70-foot banner. It's going on the side of a building, and it says now leasing. They go as far as putting it up on the building. Everyone's standing outside admiring it. One of the housekeeping people comes out and looks up and says, "Why does it say now leasing?"
Oh no!
It was I-N-I-N-G is how I spelled leasing. So, so there's a couple things you can do in that moment, right? It's like, laugh, which I think is what most people did. But then at the same time, you're like, man, that's like a several $1,000 banner, like hanging up on the side of a building. I was like, all right, I got an idea. I was like, let me call somebody. So I called a local banner place that was got to be a couple miles down the street from them. Mind you, different state. I mean, I'm in North Carolina. This was in Michigan. So I Googled some places, like a fast sign place. I was like, can you do banner welding? Like, yeah, sure. We can just seam it and whatever. Okay. So, all right, get it off the building, take it to this place. They're going to cut the I and the N out and just re-weld it. And they're like, oh, yeah, let's do that. So sure enough, sliced the middle out, re-seamed it, put it back up on the building. It was done by the end of the day. And now it's in now leasing. So
Your problem solving skills are through the roof, man. I mean, I guess, and that's probably the main skill of a hostage negotiator is you've got to be able to solve the problem. Obviously, the end result is everybody is safe. And so in promo, the end result is everyone is happy.
Yeah.
But wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird things that we've had to think outside the box. I mean, people have wanted snacks. Like we've had this issue pop up several times with food products, where it's not available or we can't get it as quick. And, I'm sure other people have done this before, but we've called around to like all the Sam's Clubs and bought up all their, granolas and stuff and had stickers made like the same day and labeled them all and delivered stuff like that. So we've, again, kind of thinking on the fly to make up something that's not going to happen. And we've turned some pretty big orders, just kind of saying, yeah, we can go and find other sources and places and get this done. So yeah, it's a particular set of skills, and I think a lot of us now have it. So,
well, and so that leads me to my last question. And I always love this one because we always separate ourselves between business and professional, right? So you have this awesome skill to be able to stay cool in a situation and come up with a solution. And you've used it a bunch. You've given us some awesome stories that you've used it in your business. But have you ever used your skills on your family?
Man, I think if I told you, I'd have to kill you, Brandon. No, I don't think I have. I mean, I don't really get into big problems with the family as much as I do with, and I think it's unidirectional with your family. It's just you and them. I'm not mediating anybody else. So if I'm in trouble, I'm in trouble. So it's not I'm telling you that someone else is in trouble and having to work between the two. I guess that can happen with kids, right? I guess you could be the mediator between kids and stuff.
Well, you'll find out soon. I mean, they're getting older, right? So
yeah, they are. Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny too, like that path of my life definitely did a lot, but there was almost a dozen different experiences leading up to this that has just helped promo career just immensely. I mean, I went from directing traffic, oddly enough, at concerts and large events. I actually was I ran and managed the RV lot at Bonnaroo, which I guess you'll appreciate. So, and one of the events I was there, of course, I had like 6 walkie-talkies, and it's just crazy people driving cars and vehicles way too big for themselves, and we had a vehicle catch fire in the middle of the field and had to coordinate between the fire marshal, the police, and highway patrol, and then my own parking staff. And, and this was when I was in high school. I was, I think, a senior in high school doing that. Went from that to doing valet. I was doing event coordinating and event planning with an event company in town, and got to a point where she actually let me do my own events. And then I ended up doing weddings. I did inflatables, and then I did flowers. And then I started doing wedding flowers. I mean, just weird variety of stuff, all culminating into promo.
Well, and I mean, if you really think about it, it's all very similar. Yeah. Taking a situation and coming up with a solution for it, or a product for it, or and the best way to crisis management, I guess, is probably the best. Outside of, hostage negotiation sounds really cool, and that's like super sexy. Yeah, but dude, you're a crisis manager, man. I love that. That is so awesome. Well, I love these things because it is called Express Training Bites. They are super fast. Your stories are phenomenal. And thank you so much, Stephen, for taking time,
for sure,
first of all, out of the holiday season and doing this. And then I also know that Perfect Promotions, you guys are moving, right?
Yeah, a total of like 100 feet, but it's a different building. So it's still a big thing to take every piece of machinery and product and you name it. So it's a process we're grinding out. So hopefully some new pictures and stuff to come of the new place. So
that is awesome, man. That is awesome. Congratulations on the move. Thank you so much for your stories today, man. And thanks for being a part of Express Training Bites and a part of the Promo Corner family, because you do this every week for us, man. on Industry Insider, and I can't thank you enough. I know you're always, just the other guy or not Meg.
I'm not Meg.
Yeah, you're not Meg. But dude, this was an amazing show. And guys, if you're watching this right now and you're just catching it at the end, we do rebroadcast these and we do put these up on Promo Journal. It does go up on Tuesday afternoons, and we do repost it onto the Promo Corner Facebook page as well. So, hey, Stephen, real quick, I always like to give my guests a chance. How can people reach out to you if they want to know a little bit more, or if maybe they need a little bit of help with their crisis?
Sure. Yeah. I actually love crisis management, as you found out. So feel free to private message me, DM me on Facebook. Connect with me on Facebook as well. You can shoot me an email, which is Stephen with a PH at perfect-promos with an S.com. Those are probably the best ways to get me, and I'm happy to help.
That's awesome, man. Happy New Year, buddy.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right. We'll see you guys later.